Well, hello everyone. Let's start our today's video conference, which is called The Radical Change. Well, when we talk about the radical change, we are talking about the literal elimination of the whole ego, including its shape. While a man continues with the mistake of believing himself one unique individual, the radical change will be something more than impossible. When we talk about our serious esoteric work, we should start talking about self-observation. In fact, the reality that the esoteric work starts with the strict observation of myself shows us that definitely there is a multiplicity of subjective elements, psychological defects, undesirable elements. That is something with urgency to remove them from our psyche. Alright? It is not possible to delete unknown psychological defects. It is necessary to work consciously with our own efforts to really detect our own psychological multiplicity. Alright? That's why previously it's necessary to detect, to accept, to recognize all that honestly and seriously we want to remove from our own psyche. Based on it, we should say here at the same time that nobody else may do this work for us. It requires, when we talk about the serious esoteric work, it requires a serious discipline effort on ourselves. Nobody else but us is our own savior. Alright? This type of esoteric work is something from the inside. It is not of the outside. So there is no possibility, as for example, consider the option to work with your vanity manual, for example, or something like those external ethical systems, for example. That is not true because this is an inner work and it requires permanent self-observation to detect our own psychological multiplicity in order to delete it gradually, little by little, to finally someday, why not, sooner than later, achieve our own radical change. It requires a very particular and personal effort of each one of us. Now, all those that want to achieve their own radical change, if they don't apply, if they don't work with their own self-observation, they are only accepting but never working inside of each one of them. And all those that are not interested in practice self-observation they're only showing us a sign of degeneration for each one of them. Sign of the degeneration. Lack of authentic interest in the target process, their purification process with the self observation. Do we seriously want to know ourselves? Okay, for instance, how do we know others' lives, others' behaviors? By observing them. Through the observation of themselves. So on the other hand, if we honestly want to start our own esoteric work to achieve finally the radical change, it's necessary to self-observe all of our subjective elements. This is crucial to understand. It is crucial, essential to understand that for our own good, the serious esoteric work starts with it. This is the sixth sense of mankind. Right? So this is something without justifications, without excuses. Because if a man continues with that opinion of himself, with that posture that he is only one, unique, an individual, it won't be possible to change, never ever. Never. It's necessary to follow a correct path of purification, daily purification, to start that detection, observation of our own inner world. Radical transformation is an open possibility, yes, for sure. But usually it's lost when we don't work psychologically on ourselves. because only practice makes perfect. The radical change is an open possibility specifically for practitioners. And that's all. Right? Now, let's say something else. Let me delete this previous information. Well, yes, definitely that belief, that illusion that we are always the same person no matter what, that's an obstacle to start with a practical tool of self-observation. Right? That's why it's necessary to evidence to experience and to finally comprehend, because this is the fundamental to start to begin consciously our own radical change. Right? If we start working with our own self-observation, even when it's atrophied due to lack of usage, we are going to detect definitively to evidence the reality of our own multiplicity through the different stages of detection of our own inner world, our own psychological effects. Definitely, we are going to experience in our solar plexus, in our mind, in our sexual part, those inner desires, that chaos. It's necessary to experience all these types of subjective elements that each one of them are pointing in their own and with their own interests, in their own directions. But it's possible only through the detection of all those psychological and subjective elements that all of us without exception carry inside. It'll give us the possibility of reflection, analysis, different types and deeper types of analysis about ourselves. And those continuous reflections and analysis will lead us to authentic comprehensions. Only with comprehensions, authentic comprehensions, we are going to change in our actions, in our external reactions. Spontaneously, naturally, will change for sure. It's necessary to follow the process. First, to evidence, to see inside, due to this usage, that definitely we are a multiplicity, psychological multiplicity. So we'll accept, we'll recognize them for sure. Then, if we continue with the process of self-observation, we are going to experience how each one of these lower emotional defects, those sexual desires, all those negative thoughts, worries, and so on, they are only working and pointing with their own interests. And as it's been told, it'll make us to analyze, to reflect in different ways about our own inner world. With the elimination of all these psychological effects, little by little, gradually, making the inner petition, asking to our Divine Mother to delete, little by little, grain by grain, as many psychological effects as we can, that released essence will give us the possibility of comprehending ourselves, to finally and in reality, spontaneously, naturally, express on the outside a radical change. But it is gradual. And when we talk about the radical change, for our own good, we should achieve the elimination, yes, to achieve and even to deserve an authentic radical change is necessary to delete the 7 causal defects. It takes one entire human existence to achieve it, to seek it. 7 causal defects: envy, laziness, lust, greed, gluttony, pride, anger. We must delete them. If from the bottom of our hearts we seriously want to achieve our own radical change, so one thing is the accumulation of subjective knowledge, theories, ideas about all these topics, specifically esoteric studies, right? There are many people all around the world organized in specific groups expressing, sharing different theories about the esoteric work. You may believe in what you want, for sure, but not only just because the accumulation of theories, ideas, concepts, subjective knowledge, not only because of that, we'll get it. Right? And unfortunately, currently nowadays, in which we live, this type of knowledge has gone beyond the comprehension. This is something associated literally, directly with our mind. But when we talk about comprehension, We are talking about the authentic inner being. We are talking about the things of the heart. Due to the degeneration in which we are currently, most of us, the majority of our mankind, we've chosen only subjective knowledge to enrich our mind, forgetting the most important thing in life, which is comprehension, which is something that comes from the heart and intimately associated with the inner being. Unfortunately, we've forgotten these specific studies that will lead us to an authentic radical change. Right? When a person starts the observation of himself, since the angle that he's not one but many thousands of different people inside of him, he has started the serious work on his inner nature. Now, let's complement all this information with something else. This will be a graphic. This is the horizontal line of time. Right? Here in the fifth dimension, of the universe, in the molecular world, are our psychological defects. All those inner demons, evils, that all of us without exception carry inside. And they take control of our human machine from instant to instant. Due to lack of self-observation, we don't observe them. We don't detect them, but they are a reality inside of each one of us. They live in the fifth dimension of our inner world, and they take control of our human machine from instant to instant. We are not free people. We are governed by all those different types of psychological, emotional, sexual, instinctive, and motor defects. Right? The psychological defect that for example likes to smoke. For example, he takes control of our motor magnetic center. Right? The hater, for example, takes control of our emotional center, located at the level of the stomach, but on the dorsal spine, in one specific vertebra. One fornicator He takes control of our sexual center. A liar. He takes control of our intellectual center. Alright? Who of us has never said a lie? Probably no one of us. All of us, probably without exception, has said a lie to anyone else. We've felt hate. Is it true? There are millions of smokers all around the world. Not all of us, but yes, millions of them. When we are afraid of anything due to anything, that fear, for example, takes control of our emotional center. Any type of thought, for example, takes control of our lower intellectual center, and so on. From instant to instant, the different types, the thousands and even millions of psychological defects, tiny psychological defects, and huge psychological defects, big psychological defects, take control in the line of time of each one of our human existences, since centuries and even thousands of years ago. Yes, our human machine, I say machine because it's only controlled and governed by all these different types of psychological defects, lives here in this third dimension, that we are like robots, we are zombies, like puppets controlled by all these different types of psychological defects from instant to instant. When we work with the self-observation, we stop being human machines, and we start the detection of our own inner world. And with the inner petition to our Divine Mother, mentally, from the bottom of our heart, as soon as we detect, as soon as we see with the self-observation, any type of thought, any type of feeling, any type of sexual desire, etc., 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 there comes the inner petition to her. My Divine Mother, please delete me this fear. My Divine Mother, please delete me this sexual desire. My Divine Mother, please delete me this hater. My Divine Mother, please delete me this resentment. My Divine Mother, please delete me this negative thought. My Divine Mother, please delete me this desire of smoking. This is the process, this is the path, the way to be free. Because all these chains are controlling since thousands of years ago, literally, our destinies. Without justifications, without excuses, it's crucial to eliminate with our own Divine Mother all these subjective elements that control our lives, to seriously and finally achieve our radical change, which means authentic freedom. It is authentic freedom. If we continue with our own ideas, justifications, theories, we'll die deceived. It's necessary to take advantage sooner than later, as much as we can, of this practical tool called psychological death, which starts with the self-observation of our own inner worlds in order to radically change. Right? That's why it's necessary to be in continuous work on ourselves. We are not talking here about appearances, right? Because if we continue like this, our destiny is already written. We are only puppets controlled and governed by different types of psychological evils, psychological defects. As soon as we work with the self-observation, the 3% of divinest part, the only descent that we carry inside, the authentic, the real, that all of us without exception carry inside, immediately. When we fall asleep psychologically, it means when we don't self-observe our own psychological defects, our inner world, immediately our divine spark, our essence, falls asleep as well. And only through self-observation we may confirm definitely, radically, totally, that we are not one but many. Right? It's necessary, it's essential to change in the deepest way we can. That's why probably this is an invitation, this conference is an invitation to take psychological death in a deeper way, and deeper and deeper and deeper daily in our lives. It's gradual, little by little, right? Remember, it is not about accepting, but experiencing. You may accept this information. Also, you may believe it. Probably. Yes, why not? But it doesn't mean a correct start of your inner and radical change. Only with the evidence, which means psychological self-observation, then the experience of all these realities inside of each one of us, all these people inside of each one of us, analysis, reflections, the inner petition toward Divine Mother, as soon as we can, as much as we can daily, from instant to instant if possible, we'll finally comprehend ourselves to objectively comprehend the others. Right? Well, thank you very much for attending again this new video conference. Have a nice day. And if there is any question or doubt about it, please let me know them and I will respond to you shortly. Bye.